Chapter 1. The Funeral. In a small mortuary located down in the seaside town of Ocean Beach, California, a man broke recently. He was standing before an assembled audience of 25 or so, dressed in his best suit. His tie was undone a bit to let in a little air against the freakish heat of that morning in May, and the stubble on his face reminded him over and over that he should have shaved. But he stood there, and he looked down at those who watched him and waited on his words. He held 2 pieces of paper from which he could read the eulogy he had written just that morning. He tried to lean on the podium for support, but stopped when he heard it creak. And something deep inside of his chest broke. He could feel it snap, and he thought of dry twigs in the fall. He thought of broken bottles in an empty gutter. He thought of his wife's fragile bones as the car struck her on that corner in San Diego. The car had been a forest green Dodge Challenger. The driver had been speeding. Oh, he hadn't been speeding any more than any of us speed as we're running late to work in the morning. But the transcript from the police showed just how common that particular violation had been for that particular driver. The driver was recorded as saying, "I go this way every day. Every day. Everybody speeds. That's just how traffic goes, you know? I had to... She just jumped right out. She just fell. I wasn't trying to hit her. I swear." The broken man standing at the creaking podium in the small mortuary down in Ocean Beach was named Matt Murphy. He was a big man from healthy Irish stock, but most people would never have guessed his name was Murphy. Perhaps people would believe his last name held some exotic spelling like Murphy or Morphy. Just a sigh out of the ordinary. Some clue that he was more than normal. He certainly didn't look Irish. Matt's mother, not in attendance, always looked far more Irish than he did. She looked as Irish as Maureen O'Hara. His father, also not in attendance from being dead for many years, looked about as Irish as Barack Obama, which is to say, not at all. Matt held his speech in his deeply tanned hands, and long strands of thick, kinky hair fell almost into his eyes as he cleared his throat again and tried to read. "Diva would have been so happy to see you all here today," he said, but his words sounded hollow and his jaw felt weak. On a table right beside him, the remnants of what had once been Diva, what had once been his wife, sat within an elegantly tall urn decorated with white doves and brass columns. Matt could sense the urn like some missing piece of himself, but he did not look at it. Instead, he looked down at a group of women sitting in the second row just to his right and wondered about them. He'd never seen them before and had no idea who they were. Only moments before, someone named Jill had stopped Matt, asking him why Neil wasn't presiding over the service. Neil was Diva's brother, and her only relative still living in the States. Neil and Diva had lost both of their parents years ago. Neither had known any of the rest of their family, most of whom lived in Costa Rica for the tax benefits. Why hadn't Matt put Neil in charge? For the simple reason that Neil would not have been capable of being in charge. Neil had only arrived that morning on a flight from Denver. The young man, almost half Matt's age, lived as a Buddhist monk in a monastery outside of Colorado Springs. He tried to remember the monastery's name, Eternal Cloud of Compassion or something like that.